Hey, everybody. Welcome back to the collective. See, I did it again just so you guys could. What do you think? Was it today's better or yesterday's?
Dude, I think you should do a combo.
Ooh, combo. Like one of these things where, hey, everybody. Or,
Oh,
hey,
no, that's too weird.
the, well,
You literally look like a big bird coming out of its nest when you do that.
that's kind of who I am. So maybe that's just the way it's going to be from now on.
That's not.
But welcome back to the collective. Thanks, Seb. It's Monday. Having Seb here is always good. Shaun, random 5-minute live prior
I
to
think I
being
got
on the
six
live.
in.
6-minute live prior to going live. Yeah. Well, I tried to get in there for like the 15-minute heads
You
up.
did.
I really did.
You got in with a 9-minute warning. You were late to give me the warning.
You know what the trick was is that I spent the last 45 minutes sitting there on my phone going, why can't I find Shaun's live? He should be live
what's
by
happening?
now. What is going on? I don't
Dude,
even
I
know
was
what to do.
freaking out.
While you're freaking out, everybody else is freaking out. And while everybody's freaking out, what we should be doing is hitting the like button, subscribing to the channel, and hitting the notification bell so that we're good to go. First off, Daniel. Hey, all. What's going on, Daniel? He says, one cannot wait. Days of Lavoie.
Sure. Thanks, brother. Your check's in the mail.
There. So I got a really good topic today. I'm running on about 4 hours sleep due to an issue
5
from last night. Nice.
I won.
You win.
You
win the day. What are you doing at? How many hours of sleep did you get, Seb?
Wait, how do you guys sleep so long? Do you guys take sleeping aids or something?
I do. I try to get 5 hours a week. So
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah. Well, I had a good couple hours earlier this morning, and then another couple hours earlier this morning. So breaking it up. But either way, so what I want to talk about today, unless you guys have any other thoughts, do you guys have any thoughts? Anything off the top of your head? Anything that you need to?
Yeah,
say?
I do.
Okay. Oh dear.
A massive oversight on my behalf. I like coming in with big sentences like that.
Like it makes massive oversight.
It makes it feel like I'm going to take some heat, but I'm not. But that's how I like to start sentences. I failed to between, I guess it's been a couple of days now, when you launched the recap of the month. So where you recapped all of April, and I'm like,
March.
What? Sorry,
April.
March.
No, April. Yeah, sorry, my brain's died. Yeah,
it has. I was going to agree with you, so it wasn't quite as embarrassing. But now I'm going to drag it out, so it's even more embarrassing.
Yes, it's okay. I can handle it.
So watching all of April flash by in that little clip, I was like, oh yeah, oh yeah, oh wow, oh yeah, oh yeah, like all these great guests. And then you look at all the ats, all the list of people, the at this, at that. I mean, it's pretty legit, man. And I'm not saying that when we started in January, it wasn't legit, or whoever was there in January wasn't. All I'm saying is, like, I look at that month, and it's kind of starting to become a thing. It's starting to add up. And so I just want to say thanks, Chance, for organizing it, for lining all these folks up. I know it ain't easy. I know we ain't easy. So I know that you got to work hard to set all of this up, and I appreciate it. And I just wish that everyone else could give you an attaboy for what you've done for April. So I really appreciate it, man. Thanks.
Well, I appreciate your appreciation.
Don't even.
And you know what the thing is, though? It's first off, it pushes me out of my comfort zone because I have to really seek who to talk to. Right. And I got to, this person looks cool. And then I got to scroll through all their Instagram stuff. I'm like, so I feel a bit like a little stalker every so often because I got to find people I don't know and engage them. We have some pretty cool people coming up in May, though. So I'm pretty excited about that as well. And I think it's just growing. I like the way you put it, is that it's becoming a thing. I think it is.
Okay, so that's made me think of something else, which wasn't originally in my head until you just said that. It's important that we talk about this now, and we could spend the entire hour talking about this. I'm mostly interested in Seb's opinion because he's kind of like he's in the game, but he's out of the game. So he's got a cold eye review on what's going on, but he's got enough of a foot in the game that he's in the game. So
he's the guy sitting on the catwalk.
He's the opinion that I'm most interested in right now. So.
Yeah.
The idea being that we've been shaping this thing up kind of organically, like without a big sort of massive, oh, it's definitely going in this direction. As we all know, the three of us can agree when it started off, literally, I think I said, I have no idea where this thing's going. Let's see.
A number of times.
So a number of times. And I still feel that I have a certain unknown sense of where it's all going. But yesterday, what we had talked about was rather than chasing all of the sexy guests, all of the big names, all of the, all of the Green Berets and all of the et cetera, as you stated. Rather than that, I just wanted, it's cool people that I'm mostly interested in, that we all can learn from. So I don't think it has to be military. It doesn't have to be doctors. It doesn't have to be athletes. It doesn't have to be macrame knitters. It's just got to be someone who can tell a story, can engage like this. So I'm not that interested in CEOs with a deep resume. I'm interested in a CEO who actually can interact with people and pass on wisdom, not about his business, but about life. So maybe we could take 5 minutes. Maybe Seb, you could help me, us, all of us shape this thing a little bit better right now. So we've got maybe a bit of a better clarity on directional moving forward. What do you think?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, my opinion really hasn't changed from the last time that I said that this thing is a hand grenade as far as I'm concerned, unpinned, and somebody is still holding the spoon together, because one day it will reach the masses, and it will reach who, and I know that the intent was never that, but it was that in a way, like helping the collective, but there was no expectations of how well it was going to do. Well, now, based upon the evidence presented in front of me, i.e. the last however many months you've been doing that for, I think that this thing is a hand grenade that is about to get released in the collective, and it will proliferate at the speed of light when it does. And I echo Shaun's, thank you, Chance, because man, like honestly, I think you've handled this like a champ, and you better tie your hat off with some freaking wire, because once that thing starts uncorking, it will get really, really busy. But it's great because it's going to reach the audience that it's supposed to reach and do what it's supposed to do, which is proliferating wellness and optimizing performance. I do not see, have not seen, and do not know of anything that comes close to the guest list and the frequency at which you guys have been pushing this stuff out. And I can't see it go wrong. It absolutely cannot. And so for me, it's almost like, what do we change if our direction is already excellent? And you have to do micro changes so that you don't actually change everything, because otherwise you don't know what you actually changed that did anything to make it better. But right now, I think we keep course, so to speak, right? And as long as you remember what the original mission was and you never divert away from that, how you get there really doesn't matter. Mm-hmm. What is our mission? Is what I'm doing and what we are doing as units, is it still congruent to the mission statement? If the answer is yes, then we're doing it right. If we start diverging from that and we start making it about something else or whatever, now you start seeing where the adjustments or micro adjustments need to be made. And so I say, carry on, boys. Okay. And I think from a marketing standpoint, in terms of putting the word out, there's all kinds of stuff that can be done, like promotional videos with like the guests that we had on and some sound bites, and like there's a world out there.
That is the missing stuff right now, for sure.
100%. And I think eventually, and maybe we're able to keep this free, or maybe eventually you're going the Patreon routes, depending how busy it gets or whatever. And then just to allow yourself to invest more in the collective. And so it's not seen as evidently something that you're wanting to make money out of, but something that you can use funds that are allocated for something like this to continue making it better. And that's potentially a direction that this could take one day, right? Yeah. But man, I'm beyond excited to be a part of it when it's early and there's 30 people watching.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's kind of funny because the little things that I've been doing, the small changes that I've been making throughout all this is, like how I interact with people outside of the show, like, you know, like how I'm actually messaging people, what I'm saying to them, these kind of things. But I also, you know, we've integrated some stuff into the website. There is a little donation there thing, if a little donation page, if you wanted to actually donate to the collective and help us grow. Absolutely, that's there. I added a new one onto the link tree, so on Instagram you can actually find that there. I've been compiling all of these lives and putting them onto an audio format now, so if people wanted to listen to it on podcast stuff, if they can't sit down and watch, you know, the YouTube live, then they can listen to it afterwards at another time. And I'm trying to make it as more accessible as possible. But
well, you have. I mean, just literally yesterday, Tim Turner thanked. Was it on a live? Maybe it was on my live. Anyway, he threw out a thanks for Spotifying things so that he could listen to it whenever he's out walking his dog or whatever. I believe he's on a cruise right now.
Yeah.
I hope he's not at the all-you-can-eat buffet. I hope he's sitting in a lounger listening to this right now. That's what I hope.
He's probably at attention on the deck, knowing Tim.
He probably is. He's probably saluting a flag that's flapping in the wind.
More than likely.
Tim, that's Princess Cruise's flag. I don't care. It's a flag and it's flapping.
Flag. It's coming up. I'm saluting it anyway. We got a couple of things. Winter Storm, morning. Good to see you. Daniel says, bring normal people that excelled in their path of life. And I think that's what we were talking about yesterday. Agreed. For sure, is that we just want to talk to people, and we want to hear their stories. We want to be able to engage with the lessons that they have learned throughout their lives, so that other people can learn from them.
And you know what? Yesterday was a pretty fantastic. I think I saw some reference to Barry White there. I don't believe that.
So true. Highlight Seb's Barry White voice. Yeah, absolutely.
So yesterday was cool, or with Rebecca, the day we had Rebecca on. So, you know, her story, and I was going to say her little story, because all of our stories are little stories in context of humanity. Mm-hmm. Like, humanity is the big story. We're all just tiny little stories. So her little story about how, you know, 3 years old, gymnast, and then blah, 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 strength and conditioning coach, and etc. And now she's Radmaster 9000. It's not that she ever landed on the moon or you know, she cracked the DNA code, or she's led a good life. She's learned a lot. Now she's out kicking ass. Mm-hmm. It's not that she was flying Pegasus with a spear under her arm, you know, charging into the battle. She's a good person who's learned a boatload of stuff, and now she's kicking ass. It doesn't have to be all fireworks and Shazam. It can just be good, kick-ass people that we have over here that have never served.
Yeah. That's the well, actually, when I was going through her Instagram, it was one of those recommended for you, and you know, like friends of friends of friends kind of thing. And that's really what I try to do, is just to I scroll through their Instagram and I'm like, who is this person? What is it they're actually promoting right now? Is it just like, woohoo, look at me, I'm at the gym, haha? Or is it, you know, I want to help everybody else. I want to help people get better at this. So I'm going to show you how to do a proper clean and jerk, and like break it down so that people, and it's just here, information. And so that's what I look for, people that are kicking ass and doing it right. That's
you know, it's a great tagline, by the way, looking for people who kick ass, because not a lot of people are out there actively like trying to kick mega ass. I mean, there's people who have, like, it's a byproduct. Mm-hmm. You know, they're going through their day and they help someone cross the street and now they're an ass kicker. So maybe that's a byproduct of doing their regular day. But I mean, waking up in the morning and thinking, oh, this is going to be such a mega ass kicking day. Not too many people think that. And those are the kind of people that I love, because they're inspiring, and not just inspire me, but inspire all of us. So we need the mega ass kickers in whatever. Doesn't matter. Could be waffle making. Don't care. Bring us a world champion waffle maker and what they learned in life.
That'd be cool. I would actually, that'd be pretty interesting. I think anybody that has taken the time to find the depths of the skill set that they have.
Sure.
Tell
me that you wouldn't want Anthony Bourdain on the podcast.
Yeah.
Right? So, I mean, like, it's someone who's explored not the full depths of their industry or their career or their passion or their love or whatever. Someone who's explored it enough, and then they're not just one dimensional. Because if Anthony Bourdain was still alive and all he was a chef, I wouldn't be interested. but he was multifaceted.
Yeah.
And so that's what I love about those. We could spend the rest of our lives focusing on one-dimensional deep thinkers, or we could spend the rest of our lives focusing on three-dimensional deep thinkers. I'm always going to choose three-dimensional. If Anthony Bourdain comes with the option of, oh, now he's a really excited blue belt, I'm going to take that option as well. I just don't want the one dimension. I want the many dimensions. So those are the kind of people I'd love to pursue here on the potty. Look at Seb is a perfect example. I mean, honestly, the one of the richest people I know, because he's into all kinds of things. Doesn't matter what you've got in your wallet. It's what you run in your life. There's the real riches, is how much value you're giving out and how much value you're getting. Those are the kind of things I want to pursue.
Yeah, man, I'm exactly in line with that. And you know, I think when we as thinker or people that are even remotely intellectually inclined, but that have a background that's very specific, such as, you know, military people or people in the law enforcement world, and where perhaps our pursuit tend to become our lives, at least temporarily. I think it's important to really start varying the lenses by which we see the world. The earlier, the better, because you don't realize how truly narrow-minded you can be, or how biased you can be if you don't widen that lens and that landscape. And for me, you know, it could be an actionable item on this. Could be something as simple as, I'm going to listen to a podcast that speaks about flowers.
Yeah.
Like how to grow them, how to, you know, I want to hear about violinists and I want to go back in time, like speak about, you know, whatever the case may be. It doesn't really matter. But, you know, one day I was listening to Jocko as I normally did. And then I listened to somebody else as I normally did. And, you know, I was in my office and one senior officer came in. And he's like, well, my favorite podcast is called Days in Our Times, and it's a BBC podcast. I always like anything BBC related. It's generally less biased.
Dude, it's hard to beat that accent.
I know it is. It's great.
Right?
So I stopped my Jocko for a moment and switched over to In Our Times. And I started listening about times. And then the week later, I was listening about, you know, Roman freaking Praetorian of some sort. And then I was listening to whatever the case may be, poetry or whatever the case may be. So it's amazing. You start looking at life through different lenses and different things. And it just enriches everything that you do.
Yeah. There was
oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, okay. There was a podcast that I found a little while ago. It's called the Fall of Civilizations podcast. And it's kind of funny, kind of silly, listening to how other civilizations came up and then fell apart and completely. And
oh, doesn't really never happen to us.
Oh yeah, of course not. No. But the point that I really liked about it was the fact that it was outside my norm. Right. And it was something that somebody had just recommended it. Hey, maybe you should listen to this one. And I was like, okay, cool. I mean, I like history. I do listen to some history podcasts, but I'd never heard of this before. Let's try it out. Listen to one episode. And then I was like, oh, all right, I'm down. And then somebody else sent me some other podcast. And I was like, okay, cool. And every single time I listen to at least one of them, you gain something from it. You gain some information from it. You gain a little bit of look outside of your bailiwick. It's good to always expand your views.
I'll take it a little bit further than that. You ain't going to be happy with this either, because what I'm proposing is radical. It's almost heresy. So I've just come out of a phase where I decided to stop listening to podcasts other than these. So my own IG, as you know, I'm just going to say it for anyone who doesn't know, I record my own IG live, which is bonus today because it's only about 8 minutes long. So that's great. I'll only have to listen to 8 minutes of it tonight, but I'll listen to this again tonight. So we tape them and then I re-listen to them. And so that's been enough for me for a while now, where almost a month I stopped listening to podcasts, all podcasts, like all the usuals. The Hubermans, the Atias, the Joccos, all of it. I kiboshed it all. And I didn't even like wake up one morning, snap to attention, salute the Princess Cruise flags, and think, do you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to stop listening to podcasts today. It just organically happened.
Yeah.
And so I got a little bit busy. I was doing this. I was focused on some things. And then I noticed, oh, there's been 2 days, 3 days. Hang on a sec. That's 4 days where I didn't listen to any podcasts other than our own. And I thought, hang on a sec. You know what? I'm going to build this out. I want to see what I learn by doing what I don't normally do. And so
Yeah.
by staying away from podcasts, what I was doing with my time then is using it, well, wiser, I don't know, but using it differently. And that's the trick, man. You know, you get into your routine, you get into your habit, you think you're on a successful path forward. But the only way you know that for sure is by applying a pattern interrupt. You've got to interrupt what you're doing to see if what you're doing is appropriate at that moment. You've got to try something not radically different, but something so different that there's a measurable delta. Like, listen to podcast, don't listen to podcast.
Yeah.
And so through that process, I learned that I missed podcasts, but I don't need podcasts. What it taught me to do was pay more attention to the podcast as I was using my time listening to podcasts, because the thing that you value the most is the thing that gets taken away from you. And when you want it back, you've got to earn it. So that's what I was doing. I was earning my podcasts, paying more attention. I got a little sloppy. It's not that I was running them in the background noise, but I just wasn't rejigging my CPU, my parallel processing abilities to do what I needed to do and do what I was listening to do as well.
That's a fantastic point, Shaun. Like, I mean, just an incredibly powerful point, because we do things and those things are making us better at certain things. And this next thing we know, we continue doing them on account of we've been doing it. But except now we're no longer paying attention the way we did.
That's right.
So now what does that become? It's become something that now needs to be challenged. The body and the mind is always consistently trying to drag us kicking and screaming into comfort. That at the end of the day is exactly what it is. The more the pleasure hormones are being released, the more we think we're surviving forever, the more, it's just, as soon as it gets uncomfortable, we start, and that is a part of it. It's not all about going out and running 16 miles or doing a rock march or whatever the case may be. It's doing the tough stuff like stopping, doing something you really enjoy doing for a small measure of time to see if you've actually taken this for granted, or if there's something you can learn from that. Like, I love that. Like, that's an incredible concept. One of the humans are very black and white. Like, think about music. You'll talk to people and you'll be, do you like this song or this group or whatever? And then people are like, oh no, I'm into metal, or oh no, I'm into rap, or no. And it's like, what does that have anything to do with this track over here? What does this have to do with, like, how can you even completely sort of sidestep an entire subset of the music industry on account of you don't like it? Like, you don't like what you've heard so far, I'll give you that, but have you explored it? Have you explored it at a deeper level where you're able to connect with some of the and then, because generally that's what happens. Like, I've had people say that to me all the time. It's like, I never listened to hip hop until this song. I never listened to metal until this track. And so what does that tell you? Is how many things are we discounting on account of actually our initial reaction to them? Instead of
I agree. And you know what? One of our jobs, I feel anyway, my job anyway, is to demonstrate cognitive flexibility or choice non-bias. And so when I'm throwing up my ride videos or whatever little video that I'm putting up on the IG, nowadays when I'm attaching a track to it or a song to it, music, I'm choosing all kinds of different genres. Everything from hip hop, which is not my norm, all the way through to classical, which can be my norm, all the way through to rock, which is my norm. And so everything in between. The only thing I haven't thrown up yet is country and western. Don't hold your breath.
Oh, I'm going to send you some.
I'm just saying, don't hold your breath. You won't see any country and western music to my ride videos. But I'm trying to demonstrate that all of us shouldn't be so target locked on a hard ride requires hard rock. You know, you can apply anything to anything. I love creating a little bit of cognitive dissonance where what you're seeing doesn't link up with what you're hearing. That's a good conversation, man.
Yeah.
Where the person in front of you, you're getting a read, but you're hearing something different. That's where people start paying attention, you know?
Couldn't agree more, and it gives a very Quentin Tarantino vibe to your life
Yeah,
too,
it
which
does,
makes
it
it
does.
makes things interested.
does.
I have a bit of a funny story, and Sean, I might have told you that story before. I don't know if I did or not, but so many years ago, we had this Eastern European, we'll call them criminal organization that was planning a takeover style armed robbery in a bank. And the information was that they were going to go in there and do a heat style, literally a heat style takeover.
right.
Anyways, it's the
How
day before.
exciting.
I know. It's the day before Christmas. So the team's on standby. We're all geared up in between buildings. Of course, none of the employees are actually in the bank. They're all been replaced by other people. And we're waiting for this crew to kind of show up. Everybody's fully geared. We've been in gear for like 4 or 5 hours, and we're just sitting there. And next thing we know, it starts snowing like giant snowflakes. We are talking the most beautiful things you've ever seen, like just massive. You could actually
Gotta go
visually.
with a Die Hard song or something. Come on.
It's coming. It's coming.
Okay, it's coming.
All of a sudden, on the radio, it's starting to look a lot like
Of course.
Christmas. So I look over at my driver and I'm like, and he smiles and I go, "We're all going to die." And everybody just burst out laughing. Anyway, we're still here.
You know you're in an action movie when, right? It's like, oh dear, this is all going bad. I think there's a lot of really great points there, and I want to get to them, but I want to get through some comments here because there's some great ones here. Chris says, it's a great job, Chance and Gents. 136 subs here are more accomplished collectively than 100,000 random zombies. And I think this is a good point, is that it's great to have lots of people who are just kind of flippantly, oh yeah, to your point, Sean, in the background, right? If they have you in the background, they're not really paying attention.
That's right.
And Winterstorm, if you're doing things that matter, people will begin to follow without having to be told. They will recognize honesty, integrity, and a desire to teach others. And I think, again, also very true. If you're doing it for the right reasons, then you're good to go. Patrick, morning. Julie, morning. I enjoy seeing people kick ass. I do as well. It's always a good one. Julie Kelly, be open to new experiences. This one is key. Just trying newer experiences or doing things that are slightly out of your norm or anything like that is one thing. But if you go into it biased, you're setting yourself up for failure to begin with, right?
100%.
You have to actually be open.
Do you know what? I'd like to just use this example by Julie just to make a point or build things out, not about Julie, but about the process. And so Julie's talking about being open to new experiences. It's one thing to say it, and it's an entirely different thing to do it. So there's thoughts and there's actions. Here's the best part about Julie. She's action-oriented. So when I said, hey, you know what? You should come on the podcast. It's live. It's a freak show. She did it.
Mm-hmm.
And so she was open to new experiences. But the best part is now that she's done it, now she can talk about it with some relevancy. Mm-hmm. Now she can describe what it actually is like to be on a live podcast here on The Collective. And therefore, she's now an asset. She's now being recruited into the process where she's actively promoting the process. And so the only way that could have happened, I mean, Chance Burrows, you couldn't have contacted her and said, hey, Julie Kelly, I don't know you. Would you be on this weird little podcast?
That's
She
exactly right.
told you to go fly a kite.
Yep.
But the reason that she can be open to the new experiences is because she trusts me. She knows me. I've worked with her a long time. We've got a good relationship. And I can say, hey, Julie, would you like to come on this little freak train called a live chat? And she said, check. Because that's what it requires sometimes to enter into a new experience. If someone walks up on you and you don't know them and they say to you, hey, do you want to try my new hovercraft? I just invented it. Nope.
But how high does it hover?
What's the safety ceiling on this? But if it's someone that I know and trust, I've got a relationship with, that new experience isn't so new. It's just a new thing, but it's an experience with an experienced friend.
Yeah.
And so, to Julie's point, be open to new experiences. And if you're looking for new experiences, go look for new people that you can build a relationship with that are into new experiences. And through a process, you'll find yourself one day, perhaps, running the entire show. Thank you, Julie.
Yeah. It's actually a great point. Great example as well is coffee, right?
Mhm.
If a random dude at a coffee shop sees me buy a coffee and he goes, "Ugh, you don't know what you're talking about. That's not coffee." I'm like, great, man. Thanks. And I'm out the door, right? Versus somebody who has many years of experience and sits there and goes, "Well, I don't think you've ever really tried coffee, have you?" And then I go, "Well, I mean, I think I have. Have you though?" Right? And it becomes that conversation. And through that conversation, your openness to the experience is going to either lead you into a new experience, or if you're closed off, then it's going to be a very detrimental interaction, right? You're going to actually start losing friendship capital. I don't know, but that's what I got going with. Gray Man, late morning, gents. Good to see you, Dre. Always good to have you on here. Daniel was put this in here while you were talking there, Seb. On point there, sort of filtering system to proceed with fine-tuning movements to march onward afterwards in regards to what we're doing here. And he had a question here. What provided the awareness to do so? So this came in when you were talking about stopping listening to podcasts, Shaun. So, because as you were talking, it actually was interesting. I was doing it without thinking about it. I would get to a point where I would be listening to a podcast and I would miss a chunk of it. And then all of a sudden my awareness would kick back in and I'd be like, oh, wait a second.
Right. I am listening to
I
a
am listening. And then
podcast.
I would and then I would go back and I'd restart it. But whenever that would happen, I would switch to music for a little while.
Mhm.
And then when the music started to fade away, I would just switch to silence. And I would use that silence to contemplate and come up with concepts and ideas for the collective. And then eventually, when my conceptual mind had kind of ceased, I would go back to the podcast for idea. And I've been kind of ebbing and flowing with this stuff naturally without really processing it. But to the question, what provided you the awareness to actually make that connection?
Because I think deep. The difference is that life will happen to you if you just let it happen, which is precisely what you were describing, Chance. It was just happening. And you had no agency in that moment because you weren't applying your big bad brain to control the moment, to be aware, to be intentional, to be present, to understand. You're running your own program constantly. And if you're missing out on the program, whatever's happening that second, it's because you're not paying attention. And that's not your fault. I'm not saying that you're a bad guy. I'm just saying that you weren't aware of what you were doing. And so the only way I became aware of me not prioritizing podcasts the way that I should have been is because those 2, 3, 4 days that slipped, and I realized, oh, hang on a sec. I see what's going on here. I sat down and thought about it. And it just wasn't a case of, oh, I've skipped some days in potties. I guess I'll just restart. No, I froze the moment and dove deep on the why of things. And I spent a day thinking about it. Not all day, but the day. And I came to the realization that, as I just stated, the obvious, got to pay attention.
Yeah. It's interesting too, because I did something similar with beer, actually. And I haven't drank anything since December.
When I called you out.
It wasn't even like you called me out on it. It was like, because I still had beer in the fridge when that happened.
I know. I remember the entire conversation. I was very aware of the conversation.
Okay. Well, I remember the way I remember it, because could be different in your mind, is the fact that there was a point where I actually just ran out. And I went 3 or 4 days without just immediately going out to go get some. And then I was like, oh, I'm out of beer. Oh, you know what? I need to go get beer. And then I was like,
here's how it worked.
Do I really need to?
We went through this conversation and you weren't asking yourself the questions deeply.
Yeah.
Whereas I was.
Yeah.
I was acting like your brain should.
But now I have been for the last few months. I have been
Correct.
asking the questions, and I have been sitting there going, why am I drinking beer? What is the point of it? What is the benefit I'm getting out of it? And what I've come to the conclusion of is I'm not. Like I enjoyed the active release of having a beer, like sitting down and having
Well,
a
like
beer. There was like
popping the cap off of the bottle, the active release of carbonation.
it more like I can relax now. Like it became a trigger for me to be able to relax versus what it should be is something to enjoy. If you're going to enjoy it, you should enjoy it rather than, okay, now I can relax.
But that's not all of that's just emotions and lies. That's just
Exactly.
programming, of course.
That's exactly.
The beer doesn't do that.
Exactly.
Taking the cap off the bottle doesn't do anything
Mhm.
except the physical action of removing a cap. That's all that's
Exactly.
happening.
Yeah.
The rest is just lies or programming.
And so now that I've come to realize that, now I can actively be in part of the process. If I want to relax, I can actively relax. I can now tell myself I need to relax,
Mhm.
and I can work on the actual process of doing it. Because if you're still breaking a habit, right? And breaking a habit is not easy, but it's very doable. So
Well,
it's
you're
just
not
takes
breaking a
practice.
habit if you're not paying attention.
Exactly.
I mean, we could argue that not argue. We could debate that by skipping 3 or 4 days of podcasts, I was setting a new habit. No, I wasn't. I just wasn't paying attention to the fact that I'd skipped some podcasts. And when I finally realized I'd skipped some podcasts, I got intentional about it. I thought about it. I started considering, let me think deeply about this rather than it just happened and I'm not sure how things happen. And then 47 years later, that's not how my life works. I think about things all the time and usually deeper than maybe I should. But I think deep thought is required in life.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think that goes with everything. And actually, it does.
No, it doesn't. But that's the thing.
No,
It doesn't.
You don't think thought goes
It
into
should.
it should go into everything. That's a good point.
But
Yeah.
it doesn't. That's the
Yes.
thing.
That is the thing. Well, I think one of the things that the collective provides is the opportunity. We scratch the surface on enough topics that people can actually start thinking about stuff, because there's lots of topics that we've talked about that, like, obviously we could talk about for days and days and days, but we can't. We only have an hour, so or we've set ourselves at an hour in order to manage it. And again, an active choice on our part, right? We chose to set an hour. We could have done it 2. We could have done it 3. We could have done it however long. We could have just made it at random. Whenever the conversation died, we could have stopped. But no, we chose an hour so that we had a finite time, and it was
To use wisely.
To use wisely, exactly. Now I do have.
Oh, sorry. I was just going to say, and any of the subjects that we're touching up on here with various guests and things are coming back full circle. And eventually, if you want to hear about, certain thing like performance enhancement or physical whatever, you can just go back in time. And now you have 27 podcasts to listen or the collective's episode to listen to that will give you that depth of understanding in that specific realm.
Mhm.
And so thinking deeply is one thing, but if you're thinking deeply with 3 people that view life through a very similar lens, you're not going as deep as you should. So if you have 27 of those episodes with various people with different lenses and everything, somebody wants to hear about this, they will have, a rabbit hole to go down of and never to come back again.
Yeah.
I will say this though, in the perfect world, when we kick this whole thing off, how I would do it now is task Chance Burles with getting this thing a little more organized. And by that, I mean like searchable. So right now, the web page, it's rudimentary. The collective website is rudimentary. It's not very searchable. It's not very usable. I mean, if you want to go find something, you're literally clicking every day and listening to the full episode to see if it actually talks about discipline or not. Did they talk about discipline? I don't know. But I'm going to listen to all of their episodes to find out. So it would be nice if the library, for lack of a better term, was more searchable.
Yeah. There's lots of things that I could definitely improve upon.
But that's not your fault. what I'm saying is it wasn't identified in day one. It just got identified.
Yeah.
You feel me?
I do.
Okay,
I do.
good.
Yeah.
Yeah, it'll also
It's
be
like I
pretty
work-
easy. It will also be pretty
As of
easy to
today.
do
Yeah.
once you have a data bank, right? Like you can actually you can create subsections that make sense for whatever it is and throw them in. So you don't have to narrow it down to the actual conversation so much as narrowing it down to sort of what the intent was, right? Like, so if we're talking about mindset, boom, mindset for performance, you have all these episodes. Like it doesn't, I don't think it needs to be broken down into like the
Subcategories.
yeah,
now.
exactly.
Mhm.
But
I
you
think
know,
that-
like a little hashtag mindfulness or hashtag
100%.
discipline or hashtag leadership or whatever. Just a
100%.
way that, I mean, even for now, if you don't have the time to collate or organize or categorize in simple subcategories, if you don't have the time to do that right now, at the very least, just hashtag it somehow
Mhm.
for later. Maybe that's 2 months from now when you've got your basement fixed or whatever. I don't know. When you've got
100%.
time.
Yeah.
But
I think
every day that slips by, it's a lost opportunity for someone to search the library. You know,
Mhm.
it's true.
we don't
And,
even have the Dewey Decimal System right now.
And here's another possibility as well, Chance.
Yeah.
I mean, there, I bet you there's a bunch of people that would love to get involved in the collective in one way or another, and in volunteering, in doing certain things. And you have people that have incredible skill sets out there
Mhm.
that maybe are home and listening to us all the time, or whatever the case may be, that would love to go through the library and be given access to, you know, being able to sort out things and whatever. So I wouldn't discount the possibility of getting somebody to volunteer to do that. You know, when we're providing a community service like this, other people would love to get involved.
Yeah, I
Oftentimes
agree.
they just
I
don't know
agree.
or think that they can contribute anything valuable, which evidently we know isn't the case. But
Yeah.
you know,
Absolutely.
And,
No,
and when this whole thing kicked off, like when I started kicking off my live IG chats, there were quite a few people who were saying, "Hey, where do I send money?" And I was saying, "Don't send money. I don't want anything. I just got to figure this thing out." And so I think that people would be not maybe keen, but would be interested in supporting in many different ways. But it doesn't have to be just money, as Seb said. It could just
Yeah.
be a little bit of, "Hey, can you look after January?" Just hashtag each episode, or just identify what each episode is talking about, so that we can database it at a later date.
yeah.
absolutely. And if you're somebody that's looking at a career, if you're somebody that's looking at a career, say like policing, and I'm using policing as an example because that's one of the careers where volunteer hours and volunteer work for the community is critically important, and you don't necessarily have the time to go out in the open and seek an opportunity to volunteer or whatever. This could and would qualify if you have
that's a good call.
such an impactful community service that we are providing in the collective, and you are, you know, 3 years down the line, 2 years down the line, a year down the line, you want to apply in policing, or that's something somewhere you might go. You want to start building that up immediately. And so if this could be an opportunity for somebody as well, and killing two birds with one stone, and have the opportunity to do a community service.
I agree.
Do you know what I would
100%.
love to do? I've never thought of it until you just said that, Seb. If this continues, if we go another 5 minutes building off of this subject, before you know it, we'll have created Sigma International. But before we get there, I'd just like to say this. As I was listening to you, what popped into my mind was taking all of this content and handing it off to the university of the day that's running the police sciences or whatever, something that is service related, that is semi-professional, and the student body has to use this body of work, or select episodes within this body of work to create a paper, or to blah blah blah, or whatever. Because I mean, they've got their teachers, they've got the presenters in their program for sure, but we kind of are as well. I mean, it's I might not be a teacher, I might not have a 4-year teaching program certificate, but I've taught, and I'll be teaching subjects similar to the course that university is trying to provide. So it's kind of like we're remote teachers in a way.
Yeah.
I'd love to have a student body rip through some of this stuff, to be honest.
RMC would be a great place for it.
Oh, buddy.
That would be a great
100%.
spot if we get that to happen. Daniel says, I believe if the points are coming back multiple times, it highlights the importance of being truthful with your inner self. That turns to give a deeper meaning to searching your why. I think that's pretty correct. The reason that I bring points back, at least when I cut I don't delete a lot of the things that we do. The reason I keep bringing them back is because, just like you said, Shaun, I want to hear other people's opinions on them. Right? I think we've done 3 episodes on the process. We've had 4 or 5 episodes on accountability. We've had, there's lots of topics that we've hit it multiple times with different people, and also with same people in a different way.
It's true.
And so I think that's I really like your idea. One thing that I would really love to have help with, that I've been wanting to do for a while, is shorts. Getting the little clips and stuff out there, but
it's sound bites, man.
It's a body of work.
It
There's
is. You're good at it.
153.
Congratulations. Well done.
Well, this is what I was hoping, that there's somebody out there that might want to help me edit some of these things and actually clip these pieces out, because it is a lot of work, and it's a lot of
it is
not so much work, it's time.
It's work.
Yeah,
it is work. I mean, I put up, so everything I do except for this live chat, everything I do is on my phone, my little flip 4 phone.
Yep.
All the writing, all the blah blah blah, whatever, all the editing, all of the massive intergalactic social media empire that I've built, it's all done on my phone. And so whatever I do over there on my phone, it takes time, man. It's not a big workstation. It's a tiny little phone.
Mm-hmm.
And so I put up a clip where I had to talk about what I was going to do with my day, and it was with Simon Impey. He was chirping at me in my live IG, and I said, okay, I'll see you up at the mats later today, and blah, blah, blah. In fact, I'm going to ride up there. I'm going to row with you. I'm going to choke you out. Then I'm going to continue riding on the dirt, is what I said in my live IG chat, which is precisely what I did. So what I had to do was take the voiceover from that live IG chat, cut it out, and then interpose or place it on top of my ride video or whatever. And so, it ain't easy. There's a lot of moving parts. I'm no social media wizard. I do my best. But what I did was amateur hour compared to what someone who's got some skin in the game could do. It'd be all glowing letters and sharp looking images, and I'd look like a superhero, and the message would get across lickety split. Meanwhile, I look like a bit of a dunderhead, and my message is all muddled because I'm not good at social media. So I can do it, but not well. What we need is someone who can do the sound bites well, for sure.
Yes, exactly.
And I think, Chance, on that, just not to beat a dead horse, but I think what we need to do is perhaps have a volunteer opportunity post made with and just kind of an overall explaining of what the collective actually does, and so, because it's really interesting. I invited a friend recently, and his answer was, well, I'm not really good at talking about myself, and I don't really want to do that. And I'm like, that is not what we do. That is absolutely not what we do. So obviously there is misinformation out there, and there are those that obviously, you always have the detractors, and the detractors are proliferating certain things, and we don't care about that. But what we need to do is to make sure that our message is as clear as we can make it. And yes, people are still going to ask questions and need to be informed properly, but I think that would be a good way forward to actually present this as an opportunity, because it is an opportunity, and for us to seek help, on all of our socials.
The great thing about that idea, by the way, is when I consider what we're doing over here, I have an idea of what that is, but I have maybe a different view of it because I'm right in the middle of it. But for all the end users out there, the listener who has either this is their first time they've listened to it or their 100th time, it doesn't much matter. They have an opinion on what the important information is that we're putting out, and it might be completely different. We might be unaware of the importance of some things that we're saying, but the end user knows, and it's that end user who is actually receiving the message that should be letting us know what they're hearing by putting out the sound clips to some degree. Of course, once it's being reviewed by Chance Burles. So I look at Coach Chris Lee as the example of what he started doing recently, I mean, he's really upped his game on the sound bites. He's the guy that I think of when I think of as the soundbite master right now. And I know there's people who do it better, but he's all up in my peanut right now as, we got to get that.
Mhm.
He's had
Another. Sorry. Go
no.
ahead.
It's, I was just gonna say Chris is fantastic, and he's had a really solid trajectory, and he
Made it
knows
really
you want,
well
and
for
he's
him.
just like driving for it, which is awesome
Yeah, but
to watch.
it's easy to see.
Yeah.
He has conviction. He has focus, determination. He knows the path, and he's grinding. And not grinding like, oh, that must be super uncomfortable. I know it's uncomfortable, but he's making it look easy.
Yeah.
And so it ain't easy, but he's making it look easy. And that's kind of what we need, is a little bit of that easy look.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
One more thing that I think we should really do in the near future here is to take some of those comments and have the people that have been following us since the beginning to write a little review on what they are getting from this, and we could have a post where you're entitled to post 10 pictures, have these write-ups, not necessarily with names, they could be anonymous, and that's fine, and just to see for people to see what people are actually getting out of it. And it could be as simple as that. It's very simple, and you rotate it from time to time. You change the comments, who's coming on, who's giving you feedback, and because at the end of the day, humans are more inclined to listen to their peers than the people that are actually leading the initiative. That's just a fact, right?
Yeah. And it's I'm so glad that you raised that point, because I'm literally sitting here. I want to hang my jaw right now. Like, what? Because not only had I never thought of it, it's just a really alien concept to me. Because I'm in it. We're in it. I know what we're doing. I know what's happening. I know how good it is for people. I'm hearing from them all the time. I know we're doing good. It's just that there's a pile of people out there that don't know we're doing good, because we ain't talking about how much good we're doing. So maybe it is time that we start mentioning it a little bit.
Yeah. I'm down with that. If y'all listen out there, shoot me a message. I will. You draft me up a little review. I will absolutely screenshot it. If you don't want your name or anything attached to it, that's fine. I can take that out. But hit me up. Not only that, but if you know somebody that you think would be good for the show, absolutely shoot them to me. I will. I can always reach out to them, and I can always engage them, and I can always have a conversation. The editing is actually kind of funny. The clips that one of the reasons why I wanted to outsource it is because I was there. Right? I'm looking at it from a point of view of, this is what I heard. These were the good points that I thought were good points. And I mean, I could try to take a cold eye review of it, but I was still there. So it's hard to completely step out of it. And having somebody, as you said, who's just watching it for the first time, or watching it for the second or third, fourth time, whatever, but wasn't actually engaged in the conversation, they're going to draw different information than anybody else would.
I think of Zach. Like Zach has cherry picked out some awesome sound clips from
Travis has done too as well.
Correct.
Yeah.
And when I listen to those clips and I look at the imagery and I think, oh wow, I guess he did say that, or oh wow, I guess I did say that. It's got a whole different relevance when the sound clip is isolated in a 30-second blip, and it's like, oh, that does have impact. That is correct. The message doesn't get lost in all the other remaining conversation that we do. I mean, literally, we've covered how many topics today? I don't even know. And so, like, there's gems in here right now, but they're gone unless you're listening to the entire thing. But sometimes people don't have time to listen to the entire thing. They just want that's changed my day. And there are things that have been said over here that change people's day, but we got to sound clip those out.
100%. There's actually been a few times, more than a few times, that things that have been said have changed my day.
Dude, me too. I was thinking the same thing as you were saying it. Like my life is being changed for the better, for sure.
Yeah, especially with some of the guests we've had on here, with just some of the information and some of the the personal stories that we've gotten out of it have really developed my view of the world, and I'm sure everyone else's view of the world. It's fantastic. Daniel says definitely doing it. So awesome. All right, Daniel, we got one. Send it my way, man. Absolutely.
But don't put your name on it.
Yeah. It says, personally, I've learned a lot and made me reflect or look myself in the mirror more. There you go. Boom. I'm gonna save this, so Daniel. I'm saving this one right here. But absolutely, I am more than happy to receive any information and any feedback, any guest references, any topics. If there's something that we haven't covered, hit me up, man. Like I got a list here on my thing, but I can only think of so much. And Shaun doesn't tell me anything. So.
That's been established.
And Shaun likes to be kept in the dark about it all. So, like, absolutely, hit me up if there's something that we haven't covered that you want to hear. I am down to discuss it. Or if you got questions or anything like that, right? That's why I love these things. It's why I love this system, actually, is because I can actually engage with the audience as well as the guests as well as everybody else. It's a good system. I like it. We are actually almost up at time. So any final thoughts on anything that we've gone over so far, Seb?
Hey, man, just keep doing what you're doing. And if we all keep pulling the same direction, and if we're not getting distracted by the appeal of the game, but focusing on the process and what we are trying to accomplish and really, truly making it about everybody else, everything else will line up. As soon as we change that and we start making it about something else, things will not work out the way we want them to. So I think we're on the right path, and it's just a matter of keeping each other in line and in the commander's intent, so to speak, right?
Yeah, agreed.
Well, I think the commander's intent is going to be one thing and one thing only. That is highlighting Seb's Barry White voice.
Geez, if I'd have known we started this thing off to get to this point, I'm not sure if I would have started it off.
Well, on that point, any final thoughts? Anything on the top of your head that we haven't gone over?
Well, I would just like to say this. Thanks for the conversation, Seb. This was an unusual one to some degree, in the sense of I always look forward to Mondays because I know you're going to bring mega wisdom.
Mm-hmm.
Today feels like we didn't actually apply a whole lot of wisdom. We talked about some admin points. We talked about our hopes, wishes, and dreams and all that good stuff. Some good content, but I just feel like we didn't get much wisdom out there. What do you think?
Yeah, but I mean, it can't all be.
What I was going to say is you were supposed to then say, yeah, you're right, Shaun. And then I was going to follow with, well, that's good. I'll see you here tomorrow then when you can bring your wisdom.
I see what you're doing.
You see what's going on.
I see what you're doing.
Yeah. So you got a response to that there?
Well, let's go.
Maybe not tomorrow, but you know what I'm saying.
If you do Wednesday, I'm good. Tomorrow, I'm teaching
I was
jiu-jitsu.
going to suggest Wednesday.
Wednesday's good. Yeah, absolutely. We got lots of people lined up this week, so absolutely.
But for real,
anytime.
I'm not kidding.
For sure.
I don't feel like I got the Seb content this week. So let's see you Wednesday.
Sounds good.
Hey, this is the pattern interrupt right there. You didn't get your wisdom today.
I didn't.
Got to think about it now. You got to be more intentional with your wisdom integration. I think.
Well, like if Chance Bros could stop talking, we'd get some more.
Oh, Zane.
I think this is one of the episodes that I have talked probably the least. It's been,
too much.
Oh yeah, I guess you're right. That could be it too. But yes, I think one of the key things that we did do today was the fact that I think it's important that people see this happen, because it's usually behind doors, right? Like it's in the green room. We kind of say, oh yeah, this could have been done better, that could have been done better. But the fact that it was a authentic, free-flowing discussion on what we can do, what we can do better, where we see the some of the pitfalls and where we see some of the benefits. That's all well and good. That it is part of the wisdom. It's just the act of doing this is part of the wisdom, and having other people see us do
You're welcome
regularly. I appreciate it.
You are welcome, and that's why I put that post up in my Instagram stories yesterday about this is literally what happens in the green room. When I put that photo up, I thought tomorrow I'll be talking about this photo and how we do things in the green room. So you're welcome.
Yeah, well, this is why I don't tell you anything, because then you just come up with your own ideas. And
that's
true.
Let them that's why I tell you about my ideas after we've done them.
Well, on that note, really appreciate the conversation. It has been beneficial for everyone here. I know I've learned quite a bit. I know that we come up with some ideas and some concepts for making this show better so that we can all learn and grow and build together here on The Collective. We'll see y'all tomorrow. Chivo.
Chivo.
Chivo.